Hit me!
Episode 265.
You've got to throw some cold water on the situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
At least that's what we hope every time we get behind the mic. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
If you want to take part in the program, you can do... Sorry, my kid has been watching a lot of Daniel Tiger, which is...
What's that?
It's a cartoon version of basically everything that Fred Rogers had done, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So,
oh my gosh!
Suddenly, finally, said at PBS said, "Hey, wait a second, we've got the rights to all this IP. We obviously can't have the guy, but what if we?" And they make it like a next generation style thing where they. It's the there's the son and maybe daughter too of King Wednesday, and because there's a Prince Tuesday now, and Miss Kitty got married and has a baby, a little girl, and then there's Daniel Tiger, which is the part of the Tiger family. And they he basically takes the part of Fred Rogers. He puts on his sneakers. He's got his favorite red hoodie. So it's But naturally, in order to make the learning lesson into a hook, eventually somebody is singing the idea. So lately, I've been doing way more singing than I probably should as a grown adult.
I think it's a great idea. In fact, I think that you've reached a new form of professional communication that should be implemented across multiple industries to alleviate the minutia of a TPS report.
Hey, very good. I'm down with it, man. Sorry, I'm experimenting with mic position too.
Yeah.
And I got to really remember. I got to not do this. And if you want to know,
well,
it's on the video.
I mean, you can.
Well, I mean, I hear it's good form to still tend to, but
just don't forget the satchel.
There you go. Anyway, if you want to take part in the program, you can. One of them is Twitter. Trent, what does that mean?
Oh, it means you can be like Ash Williams and use the hashtag NetHeads, and then you can join in the convo. Additionally, Will, we're broadcasting live on the Facebooks.
Yeah, we are. I got to say, a little bit of housekeeping, but not in that, oh my God, I can't believe none of this shit works kind of way. It's very interesting when you look at the metrics of things, and a lot of podcasting, when you ever get even slightly beyond the hobby level, and by that I just mean to the point of where you're really questioning, should I be purchasing this? Should I be spending this much money on something kind of thing, right? So that's because that's where you really transcend from hobby into something else at least. And so it's interesting to look at the metrics. And, we do the video, not really to make a good looking video. We do the video just as like an enhanced way to be live because, there's not always going to be just an audio-only stream as well, and we like interacting with people live. So,
Well, I think the old axiom is, why does a dog lick its crotch?
Because it can, Trent.
Exactly. Why are we doing? We can do it, so why not?
Well, and looking at the metrics of it, it's really interesting because the YouTube experience, which I would have thought would be higher because it kind of transcends more platforms in my mind.
It does.
I mean, Xfinity has an app for YouTube, so I can look at the YouTubes on my television, for example.
Yep. So does the Fire Stick.
Xbox.
You can cast it from your phone.
Yeah. So the interesting thing I found, though, is that at least at an interaction and viewing level, basically the lifetime numbers of one of our YouTube videos matches the same as what our live broadcast does relatively live. At least reaching the same number of people. So I don't know. We may just go Facebook to just simplify things. And you know what? Hey, if you want to bring your feedback or your concepts to that, you can do #NetHeads. Or if you're feeling brave or I happen to look in the correct direction at the time, you can also give us a call. You can use Skype NetHeads on air. It's the easiest way and it's the simplest way. So it's really the only one I'm going to use my breath on, Trent.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I mean, if you're not using Skype, then you might be taking a wipe. Rhyming
Fair
schemes.
enough. Well, and actually, Trent, you're on some very interesting parables because I'm not talking about the problem that happened, but it was just interesting the resolution because you taught a valuable life lesson that I had never thought of before. We had a problem, and Trent's camera
did we
for some
ever?
reason was just zoomed in to maximum capacity.
Yep.
Yep. And so once that was going. I was like, why don't you restart? And instead, you found a good axiom. Axiom. What's the kind of term here?
A proverb.
A good parable, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I
what
mean,
is that?
And it came to me as it was happening. I said, when in doubt, pull out.
There you go. It's that simple. So you unplugged the camera, plugged it back in, everything worked fine.
Just fine.
Yeah, and of course, 2 seconds before we're gonna start, like the screen that the Skype is on, it's just like not working for any reason. Had to restart that machine. It's always fun when you throw a live element in. Not to mention, Trent, it's so good to have you with us, especially considering, I'm not overly familiar with the experience, but I've been exposed to it lately about them migraine things, and I hear you had one hit last night.
Oh man, hit me hard, hit me like a brick wall. Yeah, and it was weird because most of my migraines are related to my shoulder injuries. And so they're always in the back of my head. But last night, dude, I woke up and the whole like right side of my face and head was just throbbing, which is weird because it's usually my left side and coming up from my neck up to the back of my head. I've never experienced one on the right side of my head.
Oh, that's because the ghost monkey was just going at the other ear.
That's so true.
Right?
There's one thing I've learned over the years. It's that the ghost monkey likes to mix it up once in a while.
Oh, I didn't even know what that means, and I'm not even going to use that as a show title anyway.
No.
Hey, Trent, it's so weird to say this on the 20th of the month, but Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Will. How did you spend your New Year's?
At home, just quietly, very, very subdued and relaxed. You?
I believe I was finishing up DS9.
Oh, now, okay. So for those that are just tuning in for the first time, Trent is one of those people, and I'm much the same way. I'll do the same thing. When you're working, you like to put on familiar things that you don't need to pay attention to.
Yes.
This is how you went through Frasier, and now apparently you've gone through DS9, and now you're moving on to Voyager.
Will, this is incredible. So I had to, for work, I had to build a complete new website for the not just like tweak, but like a from scratch brand new website for the whole organization. Took a while to do it, and so I thought, you know what? Let's just start. Let's just start with TNG. I won't go through all the TNG, and then once that was over, I was like, well, DS9, and now I'm in. I just did the maths quickly right here. I'm in the last. I'm starting the last season. I'm episode 2 of the last season of Voyager. In 81 days, I've consumed 508 episodes of Star Trek.
Okay, so now divide.
Yes, we'll
divide the number of hours by the number of days.
So 508 at least divided by 81. That means I'm watching 6.5 episodes a day.
Well, but that makes perfect. Well, that at least that doesn't. You put it that way, and
it doesn't sound as bad.
Sound so bad. But you got to remember, you didn't factor out weekends there either. So
yeah.
That's some pretty heavy duty consumption, man.
It is. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I would say perhaps I myself have been assimilated.
No, it would definitely seem so. By the way, also change from the norm. I don't know about you. I don't know if anybody else has these same type of hazards in your home office, if you have one, your studio, your computer desk where you like to jerk off, whatever it is. I don't care. But if you've got one of these things and you have a chair that's on wheels, a roller chair, right? I have now
Yes.
lost one pair of headphones and one headphone cable to the wheels of my chair because I gotta say the windy cord of headphones never made sense to me. Yeah, Trent's showing me his one. Go
Yeah,
ahead, show
doing
him
the
your
same
windy
thing.
cord
Yep.
too.
Just stretching it out like an accordion.
Showing our, well, that's what I do too. It creates the optical inch that I'm looking for. Oh, hey, show title, the optical inch I'm looking for.
Optical inch I'm looking for. Yeah, there you
I'll
go.
take it. Anyway, I never understood the logic of it until now that I've eaten one pair of headphones and one wire. I'm a firm believer in these, so now here I am back to wearing big cans.
And dude, I'm telling you, over the ear is the greatest thing in the world. And I agree with you. I have a big problem with my fight stick for like Street Fighter 5. I'll have it in my lap, and then like I'll scoot back, and I've realized, oh fuck, I just luckily I'm just on carpet, but it's the same problem. Like it would help if it was a wrapped cord, like the headphones.
Yeah, I guess I could, and I'm sure this is the kind of problem most 30-somethings have in life, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No, I got to tell you, man.
Exactly.
It's no, I look. I'm a 40-something, right? And sure, somewhere should have been my what is that midlife crisis thing?
Uh-huh.
I think it would, to the extent of it, was buying a Volkswagen Bug, which really says a lot about me. But I think that when it comes down to it, video games, in some ways, at least for my generation, and I think yours as well, because it was still a heavy console and arcade era even when you were coming up.
Yep.
Because
sure.
I would imagine that regardless of how far the Piggly Wiggly or whatever it was from you was, that would probably be a high concentration area to have a few arcade games set up for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? So anyway, I at least think for our generations that gaming really can kind of transcend that, and more, and possibly even for those that are coming up in more of the PS1 and the Xbox era. I guess what I'm saying is video games really can transcend age, because it's one thing we can all do. Right?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So recently, I don't remember what reason it was, but my I remember I hooked it up because a friend's kids were at our house. So I'm like, well, let me hook up the Xbox, so that'll keep them busy, because it's been sitting here gathering dust in my office.
Yeah.
And so I hooked it up, and I kid you not, there's this stupid race game on there. Hydro Thunder.
Hydro Thunder. Oh yeah, yeah.
And I have lost just more time than I'd care to admit playing that. But then suddenly I notice while I'm getting the points and the more boats that suddenly I'm chasing. And I apologize for coming out of the cobwebs of eras ago for the rest of you. But like I have been going through levels just bound and determined to beat Venator 2000's score, for example.
Yes.
It's like suddenly I see that the one I'm trying to best is Venator 2000, and now, boy, I am way more invested than I've ever been. And it makes no sense. There's no animosity or no hatred between Ralph and I. So
yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking, but woo-wee, I just went just so much time on such a basic game. By the way, part of the excuse was that I bought the latest Just Dance version for Emily, and I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't shut off while downloading, because I'm so stupid, I don't have the stay on to allow a download happen in the background setting to go on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, but that game, I can't believe how much time I lost to it. Just trying to, look, folks, I'm telling and this doesn't matter for any age. If you're up past 1 a.m. in the morning, and you're trolling through any type of race game's track backwards to work your way back to every secret entrance and variance track.
Yep.
It's time to put the gaming controller down and walk away.
Yep, go to sleep. But dude, you've touched on something that still it does transcend generations, and it's fun to go back and look at how it was then versus now. And it's an awesome documentary called Man versus Snake, and this is
is this about the Nokia game?
No,
Okay.
so it's based off of Nibbler, which was the original Snake game, but in arcades, right? And a lot of people didn't play it because Asteroids was way more fun, right? Um, Same with Pac-Man. And it is an awesome documentary about a guy who as a kid had the official man or Nibbler high score. And then, where's he at now? What's he doing? Oh, well, he was working at a machining place that's now a Walmart. So he's working at the Walmart where he used to work as a machinist. And then all of a sudden he gets this idea, like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna beat my old score. Anyway, it is a really, really good documentary, Man versus Snake. But it's that same idea, right? Of like of
King of Kong. Remember
totally,
the
yeah.
King of Kong documentary. Hey, we got to
So he
we
comes
got
in,
we got
yeah.
Trent, we got a kill screen coming up. Just wanted you guys to know we got a kill screen coming up. Sorry, it's my favorite part of the Kong documentary.
Well, and that's the other thing too is oh yeah. Anyway, and he is in the documentary, the guy from Man versus Kong, or King of Kong, excuse me. Yeah, it's great, but it's that same idea of like trying to like outdo the other in a friendly kind of way, because like they were all like everyone that's in the know of Nibbler like knows each other and we're friends at one time. So anyway, I highly suggest it. It's on Netflix, I think. And Don Bluth did the poster for the video for the documentary.
Oh, the creator of Dragon's Lair.
Yes, yep, one and the same.
Oh, very nice, very, very nice. Yeah, I'm man. That's one thing. That's one game that I really was frustratingly close to finishing in the arcade, but I never did. Was Dragon's Lair. Space Ace, I just sucked at no matter what, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I know that eons after they came out with the Dragon's Lair 2, that by then I just was too old to care about. Really.
Yeah. And if I remember right, they're working on like I've gone down that internet rabbit hole before, where for a couple of years Don Bluth is working.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Don Bluth is for years has been working on a Dragon's Lair animated film, and he's insisting on doing it all in animated cells. And so that's and I think there's a Kickstarter behind it and a lot of stuff like that. Go down that rabbit hole and check it out. But it's still a thing. Not to mention the greatest way to kick off Stranger Things 2.
Oh yeah, the way they incorporated that. Oh, and there's Trent again. Sorry,
it's still a thing.
I'm trying to make you not talk, and it's not working. Sorry.
He just keeps on talking.
Well, usually that's your problem dealing with me. Anyway, I wasn't aware of that documentary, but thank you very much for recommending that, and I can't wait to see it. I don't know, those kind of like even the silly one about the ET cartridges dig in Arizona or New Mexico or wherever it was.
Oh yeah,
Like the amount of research that they did, like comparing photos at the time to skyline photos today to determine exactly where about that area would be. And then I realized I'm sitting here watching people digging in an old landfill hoping to find plastic. And that too was probably around 1 a.m. in the morning, by the way.
But and that is, it's crazy because that is anthropological work in action, right? We are literally digging up the past to learn more about to define whether or not this myth was true or not, to learn about ourselves. What does this say about Steven Spielberg? And that documentary is amazing.
It really I think the thing that it brought more to light for me, the thing that I liked about it was actually how they realized that this cartridge thing and the pit where everything was actually a very small part of a bigger story here, which was just to kind of talk about the rise and fall of Atari itself.
Yes.
And how it effectively priced itself out of its own market with over cartridge production and cost. But just hearing some of the history there was really interesting, especially considering I remember living through it, like when they came out with that certain elemental themed game that was supposed to lead to real world prizes or cash rewards.
Yeah.
But finding out some of the things that we did, like one of the biggest, Yar's Revenge, which is a game I remember losing hours and hours of on my life, was actually a take on Tempest or something else from the arcades.
Yeah.
And the guy coded it like over a weekend. You know, I mean, it's just like, how is that? I mean, that's not fair. And
well, it's funny, yeah, because and just looking at size alone, giggity. It's so on my DS XL, I download a lot of these old retro games, right? And I recently also just downloaded, came out in 2016 for my computer, Ride 2. It's 27 gigs. Mike Tyson's Punch Out is 300 megs.
Oh my Lord. Oh, that is just amazing.
It blows me away. But getting back to
Trent, but by the way, I remember way back in the day where I was all excited because I got to upgrade an Atari ST computer all the way up to a full meg of memory.
Whoa, dude.
I know, bro.
Dedicated 1 meg.
Bro. Yeah. 1024 bytes.
And to show the power that Atari had at one time, right? There were, a lot of people forget, there were 3 founders for Apple, right? You've got Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and then the guy who put up the original $800, Ronald Wayne. As soon as he got his $800 back, he left and went to Atari.
Wow.
Yeah.
Both amazing and sad at the same time.
Right, totally. Yeah, because like he had invested in tech in the past and been burned. And so he knew that he saw it. In fact, he's the one that created the original logo, which is Newton sitting underneath Isaac Newton sitting underneath an apple tree.
Wow. Look at me, dude, you are just like dropping serious science in directions I didn't even think about.
But again, going back, it just shows like Atari was the company at the time, right? Like that's, if you were in tech, that's where you wanted to be, was in Atari.
Oh man. Yeah, I remember dreaming of growing up and being able to maybe one day be a game tester. I mean, can you imagine, Trent? Did you ever have that sad dream too?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't want to mix business with pleasure in that much.
No,
Okay.
no, I guess not.
I'll allow it. Hey, Trent, I don't know how you feel about this, especially since we are now well over a month since it's happened, but I'm wondering if you wanted to do kind of a Last Jedi recap, if we will. Where do we stand 1 month later now? Because I remember I saw it, I was amazed. I loved it, and what was your reaction? Was it was the best of the prequels, as you put it?
Correct. Yes.
Because it was this big redefining thing. We already talked about our problems with it and everything else, right?
Yeah.
But I think what I'd like to kind of talk more about is kind of this reaction that we got on the internet, to where it seemed like it was critically praised but fan panned, if you will.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And I don't know. I think Rotten Tomatoes came back and said that their numbers were accurate on this, right?
Okay.
So, I guess it wasn't, there were key elements that people had issues with. But I've gone back, and the more that I've seen this movie, the more I appreciate the little steps that it takes to prepare me for the end of each of these things that happens. There's this progression that happens as we see the Force being capable to do more than we imagined it could. So they're constantly redefining it for us and getting us to the point we need for the ending. Also, the way the big legacy character face-off occurred, that I think caused a lot of ire in the audience. But for me, especially, considering they really are kind of, each one of these are vanguard moments where somebody is passing the baton on to somebody else. Mm-hmm. I've been okay with this as well, because, I mean, how else do you want to see your childhood hero go other than nobly, while in no way, shape, or form having to encounter trauma, if you will, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, and it's great too because I feel it did a great point of reiterating that Luke was true to himself right to the very end, right? Like he was not going to go back on the vow of that he had taken to stay out of things and to do no more harm. And he did. Like he found the loophole, as it were. No, I the ending of the film is I have no problem with it at all. I think it was masterfully done. I just looked up the Rotten Tomato meter right now. It is at a 90% for all critics. Top critics, it is at a 96%, and an audience score is at a 49%.
Oh, so it's dropped because I think originally, like when this was happening, it was 57 or 56%.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, look, I understand things are interpretive, and I think with how many questions the previous film and the characters the previous film set up, it probably created within that universe, that cinematic universe, if you will. I think it probably allowed people too much. I don't want to say creative license, so much as it gave us too many questions, so we started filling in our own answers or trying to work them out. And I could see backlash kind of that way too, because this isn't the Luke and Rey story that I may have written in my head or I was expecting to see, and the same thing for all these other characters. So I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry to see that some people didn't get from it what I got from it, because I had a great experience, I guess is where I'm going.
yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, it's like it's the same thing with the prequels, right? Not in quality, but like it's more Star Wars, right? Anytime we get more Star Wars, it's a good thing.
I'm with you, man. I am.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, because in 1997, if you would have told me that, not only were we going to get 3 more, but an infinite amount of Star Wars in the next 20 years, I would have shit down both legs, right? Like that would be completely like absurd and incomprehensible for me.
Wait a minute. I hate that I'm even bringing this up. I really do. But I have to ask, and I'm sorry, but
No, yeah.
I gotta ask, why is it exactly that it happens in both legs? Why is this relevant?
Yeah, well, okay, so that shows the intensity of the BM, right? Like there's so much force created by the trauma of the information I've just processed that it's just blowing out. Like we have blown an O-ring, folks. There is no stopping this bulkhead. It is blown out. Try and put a force field around it. It's not going to happen. Even a level 10 force field. I've watched way too much Star Trek in 2 months.
Although it closed as a funny bit, I gotta say, folks, sometimes you gotta question if you really want to ask the question.
And also it shows that the state of your bowels, because for it to go down both legs, it's got to be a loose bowel movement. You know what I mean?
Rather than just kind of being forced down
Then just
one channel.
Yeah.
Much
It's
in the same
both
way
legs.
that like a natural like bobsled track could be created.
Yes, yeah.
Let's just stop. There's no way
This is
to
more
pull
of a
out
fire
this
hose.
one.
Yeah.
This is literally us where we can't pull up on the stick and we're just crashing
Will,
right into the surface.
when in doubt,
pull out.
pull out.
I got you, man. All right. Never mind. That is the show title. When in doubt, pull out. Sorry. By the way, I think during the Nogathon I may have gushed, or sometime in the past I may have gushed over what we got to see out of the Ready Player One trailer.
Oh,
that
yeah,
we were
yeah.
shown. And I think there was a second trailer that's come out now, even though I haven't seen it. But I really think this may be one of the movies I'm looking forward to most this year.
Really?
Yeah, just because it seems to, well, I mean, naturally, but it's just dripping with what I'm hoping is Spielberg magic again, if you will.
Yeah, sure.
Something we really haven't seen since, I don't know, when's the last time we saw it? Is it something that we got other than, have we not really seen it since E.T.? Because Minority Report was just creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where he was going for it in Crystal Skull, but failed miserably. Do you know what I mean? Like it had all the right elements of a Spielberg film,
Can't polish
but
a turd, Trent.
but at the same time, it's like Jesus Christ, what were you thinking? It had all the elements to be a great Spielberg flick, but just failed.
Okay, so then I guess we could probably say with the Last Crusade, because I know I didn't see it with AI. I know I didn't see
No,
that.
God, I loathe that movie.
That movie,
It was 2 VHS long.
yeah, it was also kind of what I would also call Bicentennial Man long. If you know,
Yes. Yeah.
because there was an interesting story okay, I'm just not sure it was worth the journey kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm pulling up his you know what? Granted, I didn't see the BFG, which I should, because I love Roland Dow. Uh, I he did Lincoln, but it's a different feel.
Yeah.
I didn't see Adventures of Tintin, which I should, because I love the character. Yeah, and then
It's
so
hard to really consider that as a thing though.
yeah, so this is interesting to me. Like his granted because he's producing a million different things, and executive producing Vanity credit, a million different things. But like so if you look at what he's done, we've got 2001 AI, 2002 Catch Me If You Can. That had a great Spielberg feel to it, I think. Right? I love that movie. I thought it was great. It might just be the Tom Hanks factor, because I can't dislike anything with Tom Hanks.
I mean, it was nice when you get to hear Tom Hanks mentioning the Flash, because he puts it together that, he's using all these pseudonyms of the Flash, the Barry Allen and all that jazz. But I mean, that's a Saturday matinee kind of.
Yeah, and that said, The Terminal with Tom Hanks was not that great.
Oh, that was yeah. I think I'm gonna go with Last Crusade as kind of the last bit of Spielberg magic in cinema for me, anyway.
I mean, he did The Lost World of Jurassic Park, and he did Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Jurassic Park, that's a Spielberg feeling flick.
I think I've treaded into waters I have no qualification treading in, is what I think.
Okay,
Brent.
sure. I accept that, but I'm just saying, yeah, it's interesting. In the past decade and a half, there hasn't been anything from him that I've just been like, oh my God, this is the film to see. This is the blockbuster of the summer. So this is probably the closest thing he's had since, that said, the hype around Crystal Skull was insane.
It was, and
it was just nuts.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, though, I don't think I saw it in the movie theater.
See, I saw it opening night.
That's and I would expect that I would have too, but because I mean I saw, and I'm not kidding, in excess of 23 viewings of Raiders of the Lost Ark in the movie theater.
Yeah,
I mean, and even sadder, we're talking about being dropped off for the first showing, and then skimming one or two showings after that as well. Like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom for a lengthy amount of time, then I'll just go straight back into the theater.
Yeah.
I will not interact with the concession stand. And
yep.
Worst comes to worst, I call Mom and she'll come and get me.
Yeah.
Kind of no harm, no foul. And, yeah, so I would have expected I would have been out there. I don't know why I wasn't, though. What year was that?
That was 80... No,
Crystal Skull 80? No.
Oh, no, sorry. Crystal Skull was 2006 to 7.
2007. Okay,
yeah.
Well, that explains it. I had a very small child at the time.
Yeah.
That's why I did not see it in the theater.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Okay, I feel better now. By the way, I hate to reference something that's so video specific, but what's the Dolomite box behind you?
Oh yeah, this is the complete box set of Dolomite borrowed to me from Tom Sherlock, and I have yet to watch any of it yet. He made a Dolomite reference was quite a while ago, and I had no idea what he was talking about. And he was like, "Oh shit, you're in for a treat."
Oh, that's nice. And that is one of those things that's nice. It was kind of like at least when you're talking about, and I hate to reference this again in the same show, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like hearing somebody hadn't seen Last Jedi yet, and you were excited for them being able to experience it for the first time, or anything else, any other movie or bit of magic like that. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
boy, you're in for a treat. Because I mean, there's one thing that none of us want to do, which is lose our memory, but wouldn't it be great to experience something again for the first time?
Oh, yes.
You know, would you, in getting into those multi-leveled universe questions, you know, would you experience it the same way, or how different would it be now at this age? Like, if I were to
Yeah.
see Poltergeist, the original,
Oh my
today,
God.
how would I react?
Well, I'll tell you what, as a child, it fucked me up pretty good.
I watched that one at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and it scared the crap
Oh,
out of me. That ought
yeah.
to tell you something.
It made me afraid of static on my television for the rest of my life.
It wasn't until he was rolling the TV out of the motel room at the end that I realized I had been watching it for the last half hour like this, with my hand just on my chest underneath what was not a double chin at the time.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh.
so, but what would that experience be like today, especially with all of the other informed things I have in my life now? Why am I pondering the unponderable or the biggest waste of time? I have no idea. Trent, it's a new year. What's going on in your world, man?
Oh, well, shit, dude.
I mean, obviously,
So-
you've been watching, as you said, you've gotten all the way into Voyager now.
Yes, yeah, all the way into Voyager. Along with that, I did do a whole new website for work. I'm in the process of moving servers for my own personal work, like websites, plural, because the original server that I built it on was only capable of like 5.6 PHP, and I need 7.1 for a lot of the scripts I'm using now. The problem is that it's just been a huge shit show, and it's been very frustrating, and there is so much goddamn data involved that yeah, it's been and it's not like number one priority because it doesn't pay the bills. So it's been, multiple downloads, multiple restores. It's to the point now where I'll only do it at the work on it at the university because the upload and download speeds are so much faster that it's not even worth trying to do at a home connection because it's too massive, it's too big. It's bizarre because now I'm at a point where I finally understand how like an SQL database works. And it just blows my mind that I've ever been able to run a website on it in the past, knowing nothing about it.
Well, but that's the whole point of certain packages. Like if you're using, as you mentioned, an Apache or PHP server, if you're using WordPress, which is a very popular
Totally
content management system that's based on PHP and utilizes MySQL. SQL, MySQL, whatever you want to call it, but they may do it in such a way that where they've already worked out, a design you can choose, but they've also worked out getting it functional with a database, so it's very transparent for you with most hosting places. But you do run into issues, and it can be a major pain, especially when it's like, oh, suddenly my scripts aren't working, or, heaven forbid, it was back in the day and you were using an ASP or ASPX site, and then you had to transition over to, MySQL, and you've got to do a bunch of data integration. I completely understand where you're coming from. Or it may have been running well in one place, but now that you've upgraded to the latest and greatest version of the OS, there are other packages that now aren't automatically going to run, or you've got to install old versions of. Dude, I feel for you. There is no greater digital moving pain than I think getting something that was working one place to someplace else on the internet where it's working as well.
Yep.
And by the way, too, sometimes things aren't as on the nose as you realize, too. Like, for example, I've been recently approached on a few separate instances to kind of do some consulting work on some podcasts, right? And so I'm like, well, I should really set up a separate identity for this. I kid you not, Trent. For some reason, I defaulted to the domain I got for an LLC. And mind you, these are instances where people would be referring to me in the reference of podcasting, right?
Sure.
Dude, since sometime in the 2000s, like early, like 2000 to 2002, I've owned a domain called Hotcasts.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so for your consulting business, which would you prefer to use? Would you prefer to use the Hotcasts? Wow, that sounds a lot like podcasts. That's a good one. Or you could use Innovocron. By the way, what the fuck does that mean? Oh, I see. You're trying to you're trying to say innovation time. Oh, boy, you think you're clever, don't you? Yeah, I really recommend the Hotcasts one, but you go with what you want. Basically, that was my brain.
Yeah, that's
That one dawned on me after I already sent out some communication. Yeah, you can talk to me through here now. Really? Well, I probably would have been better for the. Basically, it's like being a part of Amazon, but for some reason calling yourself a tall jungle woman. You know what I mean?
you've got to. You're expecting the user to make the connection.
Exactly. It's and just. Sometimes I think I'm the smartest idiot you know, my friend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or as
yeah,
a coworker
that's
once
great.
told me, you don't learn to be an idiot. You don't.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's man. I'm gonna reflect. I'm gonna reflect, and maybe that'll be my new mantra when I'm meditating.
Para pendejo no se estudia.
Exactamente.
There you go. You don't learn to be an idiot.
No.
By the way, oh my gosh. I know I have probably said it once before, but I've got to say it again, Trent. If you gave up on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. anytime in the first 2 seasons, one, you missed out when things picked up. This is the most in-frickin-sane season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so far. And
I have a coworker that's been going off about it.
It is so consistently good and mind-blowing now. It is just ridiculous. And it's getting all kinds of timey-wimey. And it's just like, wow. Literally, that's where I'm at. And I wouldn't have expected this. Well, let me put it this way. It's definitely outperforming where it has been put, because they've put it on Friday nights.
Yeah, the death of all prime television.
Exactly. That's where Fox put Dollhouse. That's not cool, man.
Yeah.
But it is just I've just been blown away with the show quality, and it's just I don't know. Wow. I mean, it's a bummer, like the whole Inhumans project, I think, even happened, because it may have tainted the perspective of the ABC studios.
Yeah, I know.
Approach. But anyway, I just gotta mention that. All the way. Also, I gotta mention too that in the holiday break, if I didn't mention this on the last show, but not Benicio del Toro. That's the guy from Star Wars.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro is it him? Guillermo del Toro's his animated series Troll Hunters is back on Netflix for a second season, which is interesting, not only just from a story standpoint, because the first season was practically 2 seasons long, but it's also the vocal talents. It's one of the last performances of Anton Yeltsin. No, Anton Yeltsin.
Yes,
the guy that played Chekhov in the Star Trek reboots. In
the Abrams verse Star Treks.
Yeah, and they had recorded so much that they have still been able to use portions of his performances
shut up.
to continue the series and the dialogue. So there are still parts of his performance in there. I don't know if you're an Anton Yeltsin completist, you may want to watch it, but it's also just an interesting story arc overall. It's something it's something I put on because I needed something animated that I might be able to watch that my daughter would watch too.
Yeah.
And the toddler stopped watching and I just kept going. Which
Well,
always
dude,
makes you feel like an adult.
I am a huge Del Toro fanboy, and this has been in my queue for a while. And frustrating for me, this is we're creeping up on Oscar season. The Shape of Water has yet to be played anywhere in Logan, Utah.
Oh yeah, his movie about basically a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes, which is my favorite of all the Universal monster movies. Is the creature. So it's been killing me. I've got to see this film. And I feel like it's got a good Pan's Labyrinth feel to it. And plus everything he does, I'm happy with, even Spy Kids.
Wow. That's well, no, Spy Kids was
Oh no,
Robert
no, yeah,
Rodriguez.
that was Rodriguez. Excuse me. Yeah.
That's racist, Trent.
Well, they're in the same vein.
Hey, speaking of the same vein, do we want to address the fact that we're broadcasting in a country that, at least the last time I checked, had no functioning government?
Except for the military.
Bitter bickering muddies the path to ending the government. Okay, so I'm guessing still in effect. Good to know.
Yeah. This hasn't happened for a while.
Interestingly enough, look, I'm not going to get into the politics of it because, like, first of all, I could just approach it from the petty. It's like, well, did the Democrats do this to stop the president from going to his 1-year anniversary gala at Mar-a-Lago? Was it that petty of a reason? Is it actually something that Schumer and McConnell have actually worked out in chambers, if you will, behind closed doors, that they're going to orchestrate this in an attempt to wrangle the president? Is it just a straight-up Democratic FU to the Republicans, so that way they would be able to say that for the first time in modern history, a party that's in control of all branches of the government has had the government shut down under it? I mean, there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of games going on here behind the scenes, so I'm not surprised it happens. I don't think we as the commoners, if you will ever know the real intentions behind it. And I don't know how long this pissing match will go on, if you will. But it's strange times, I guess, is the best way to put it. And I don't know. What's your take? What are you experiencing from these events?
Honestly, I've kind of unplugged from like all news for a little while. I've been in my Star Trek bubble. And it's felt really good. A little weird though when I'm having dreams about it, and then like almost at like a lucid point in the dream when I realize, like, wait a second, these are conflicting episodes.
This is just wait a minute. This is contradicting continuity here. This is
no, I'm dead serious. This happened.
I must be having a dream because these two things can't be occurring at once.
Yes. No, I can't give you the specifics. All I can remember is having this, like,
Scott Bakula cannot be talking to 7
hey,
of 9.
I have not got to Enterprise yet. Okay. And I haven't watched any of Enterprise ever, so there will be no nostalgia involved.
Speaking of Star Trek, my friend, let's quickly get away from the politics. Practically, we have skid marks. Star Trek Discovery happening.
Yeah, tell me about this.
Which I gotta say, it started off rocky for me. And those of you that don't know, this is the direct deliver streaming service, CBS All Access, offering up this new supposedly original universe Star Trek series. But there are certain things you always have to suspend disbelief on, because as technology has improved, things are just naturally gonna look better, even though this is supposed to be set prior to the adventures of Kirk and Spock and the like, right?
Yeah. So this is like right on the heels of Enterprise A.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and so it's been interesting in the stories they've been telling, even though it still kind of feels like in itself another reboot. Even though it's supposed to not be. But it's the story they've been telling has been interesting, and there are also elements within the first run of the series before the break that had some pretty on-the-nose moments, but you only realize it when you see them later. Because, like, one of the things in the storyline is they've got this new experimental drive, which is obviously very tricky to work with because it involves this mycelium network, which is like this core multiphasic network that, like, all fungus and other things tap into. I don't want to say it's the Force. It confuses me. I don't know science fiction, Trent.
Okay, sure. But a wizard did it.
Well, which, by the way, that's one of the things I forgot to say when people are pissed off about Star Wars The Last Jedi, because Leia saves herself. And every time, like, even when it was happening, I'm like, oh, are you? And then just instantly I heard Trent in my head saying, well, it's a space wizard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how can
Yep.
you pedant anything because
Yep.
space wizards?
Because space wizardry. Yep. Exactly.
Oh, you floored me with that, but it really helped make my enjoyment level of things much higher. So anyway, like there was one little moment that happens where basically one of the crew members, after they figure out how to actually use this drive in the most effective fashion, naturally somebody has to screw with themselves, so they have to be a part of it. And that guy starts experiencing things on different levels. And there's one moment where he's just looking in the mirror, and then he walks away, and then he's still in the mirror, and then he walks away. All right?
Okay.
Second part of the season, through some mishap in their drive or whatever, they wind up in the mirror universe from from the original series, and even Star Trek Enterprise has a connection to the mirror universe. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, there's a universe everybody's evil. Terrans are trying to be a driving force, and it's a cutthroat nation where evil prevails, and you get promoted by killing your superior and taking their place, yada yada yada. It's good writing when they put things like on right in front of you, and then you don't even realize until a few episodes later, oh, that's what that was, because now suddenly they're in the mirror universe. So
Okay.
They were putting it out there. Another interesting thing on the show was revealed, because there was some internet hubbub about two different characters. That happened. This show has just come back insanely strong, and so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, like I think even if you go to netheadsonair.com, there's an affiliate link you can use. If you click that to sign up, I think you get a 10-day free trial. Like you could just plow through that in a heartbeat, because all of it is available. Check it out and then cancel. You're cool. Don't worry about it.
And there's integration through Amazon Prime. You can get an ad-supported subscription for $5.99 a month to the CBS All Access, or you can do ad-free for $10 a month through your Amazon Prime account.
Yep. Yeah. And eventually they're going to realize that they're all going to have to do more of a Netflix model under somebody else's umbrella, because eventually there's going to be too much market saturation. Y'all going to be $5.99 me a month to death.
Yep, and this is a big, we don't have this problem with ABC and NBC because they are part owners of Hulu. And so they haven't a built-in infrastructure for the dissemination of their product, whereas CBS opted out of the market share of Hulu, decided to do things on their own, and they're kind of having a hard time getting people to jump on board.
Well, obviously, they're spending millions of dollars to produce a Star Trek show because they figure that's a way to get nerds to pay money.
Yep.
I'm not stupid, but I'll take what entertainment I can get,
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, by the way, too, I also feel bad that I was behind the times on this one, and I'm surprised you haven't brought it up more, but you've been unplugged. I think it premiered a little before Christmas on Sci-Fi with Happy, which is Chris Maloney.
Oh, my God.
And it's voiced by, Patton Oswalt is the imaginary character, and apparently this is actually off an indie comic or a Edge comic or something.
Yeah, it's from Grant Morrison.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now I feel even badder for not having
it. It is messed up, dude. If you've ever read the series, it is messed up, and it's so good. So good.
Trent, I'm going to tell you, I don't think the TV version is going to disappoint then.
Okay, good. Because I haven't watched any of it yet, but the comic series is brilliant.
I got to say, the show has been pretty much the same way, and Chris Maloney's performance has just been killing me.
Good. Yeah.
But I'm not surprised. Based on his work in Red Hot American Summer, all those variations, as well as what we saw from, what else was he outrageous in? The Harold and Kumar movies. He played, always played some messed up. He was the clan leader in the second one. He was the freak show looking car repair guy who was deeply religious. And mind you, this is a guy that for years was on our television in one of the most horrific crime procedurals, which was the Special Victims Unit. What is it?
SVU.
Yeah.
Law and Order SVU, yeah.
Thank you. And it's because really as a concept, it's just horrific because heinous and sexually oriented crimes, weekly basis. So it's all very serious content from him.
Yeah.
And then you just see this side of him, and you're like, I really like this guy more, a lot more.
Right.
And the thing I love about this lead character, Nick Sachs, is that he is
Yep.
he's completely reprehensible from the start, but doesn't hide from it at all.
Well, I mean, when you're a hitman, there's not a whole lot of redeeming factors.
Oh, but he's like especially callous and
Yeah.
and very callow and just but I gotta say the show itself has just been a fun, brilliant ride. So
Good.
having not
Good.
seen the comic,
that makes me happy.
I hope that means it would reflect well. And it's I think it's only 2 away from the end. I'm sorry we're talking so much about television, but speaking about being 2 away from the end, Trent, The Good Place, OMFG.
And I haven't caught up on it yet.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, this I don't. There was an interesting article with the from an interview with the girl that plays Tahani.
Okay.
And one of the things they mentioned was that the big reveal for the end of season 1 was identified by one guy on Reddit, and they constantly watch the reaction to that to see. So they've been she like trolls.
Really?
She breezes through some of the like main sites people would speculate, and they're saying nobody has an idea. Nobody's come up with what season 3 is.
No one's
yet.
caught on to it yet.
But I'm not surprised because this show now, look, when you finally catch up to where we are, like we're well beyond abandoning our elevator pitch for the show. We are completely undefined, redefined, undefined, and redefined again. Seriously, I hope if you listen to our show, you are watching The Good Place. I'm so shocked and amazed that it has got a season 3 pickup already.
Yeah,
but so thrilled about that too.
Yeah, well, and it's so weird because it's a concept that normally you wouldn't think could live on NBC, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But it's doing great though.
Like how Constantine just didn't connect on that network.
Yes, exactly.
And in other funny shows that they've had that just don't seem to hit. I don't know. It's the only thing that I care about watching on Thursday night. It does exactly what it's supposed to, which is gets me to the network. Right?
For NBC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gets me there, man.
Yeah.
It gets me to where I need to be.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else on NBC that I'm watching. I don't think there is.
Yeah.
Most everything
Saturday
for me
Night
right
Live.
now.
Oh
yeah. Yep. SNL. Yeah. I guess that's the other one. Yeah.
Which, by the way,
otherwise it's all.
They've actually tricked me into doing exactly what they want, which is watching live, because now we get, it airs at the same time in all time zones, and I don't mean like
does it?
It's streamed live.
Oh, so you get to watch the actual live version of it.
Exactly. Which
interesting.
By the way, there were like 2 F-bombs, I think, on the last one accidentally. But
oh, really?
But because it's not safe harbor on the West Coast, there's still a slight delay so they can catch and drop
so they can
out.
Catch it, yeah.
But that's done the trick for getting me to watch that. I don't remember what else I wanted to talk about. I don't know how we got stuck in TV, but man,
it's a great place. It's a great place to be.
It really is. Like right now, there's a plethora of good shows, and I feel like we got a lot of good movies to look forward to because we got. Well, with all the nerdy movies, I mean, I don't even need to list them.
Black Panther's coming out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know, man. Are you ready to go to Wakanda?
Yeah,
I'm worried I'm not
dude.
Look, I'm worried I'm not cool enough to see Black Panther.
Here's my thing, and I know this is pedantic. Why not cast Africans in the role of Africans?
They don't have representation?
I don't know.
Do you know what it's like to get a talent agent in Hollywood, Trent?
We've now got 2 Johnny Storms playing different characters in the Marvel universe. With Michael Jordan and Chris Evans.
B. Jordan, don't forget the B.
Yes. And it's kind of that same thing with like having Tilda Swinton play the ancient one in Doctor Strange. Like, I mean, we can. I don't know that. And granted, I'm sure I'm going to go into it. I'm going to be blown away and love it and everything. But just like, I mean, come on, guys. You've got to have a little bit of like casting depth below the surface, please.
And I'm just so shallow. I don't even think about that at all. Just not even. I don't give. I'm just like, oh look, it's Black Panther. Damn, that movie looks good. I don't think. Oh, the ancient one is Tilda Swinton. Why not?
Sweet.
On the hey, on the Venture Brothers, it's been the three-headed dog amazed at licking his nuts while talking at the same time. I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
I'll just take. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned that for Christmas. I still haven't watched them yet, but I can't wait to hear the cast commentary or the writer's commentary. I got the Blu-rays of Rick and Morty. So.
Oh yes. Commentary on the Rick and Morty seasons is the greatest thing on earth.
Yeah, I cannot wait to get the time to do that. Like literally, I don't know. I am. You've been unplugged, so I can relate because like I'm having to catch up on everything. Like I'm literally listening to podcasts that were released last month. I just I don't know where the time goes or where it's gone. It's been nuts.
Yeah.
Obviously, for you, it's been website coding, and I can appreciate
that's all.
that.
That's all it's been.
Okay, let me close out with this interesting thing, Trent, because I've been looking at the home office here. I took some actual measurements, and based on the fact that I got bookshelves and opposing corners, there's a closet over here. Effectively, I have what is a 10-foot by 10-foot space to work with, right?
Okay.
And the only problem is that I've got like a 7.5 by 4.5 foot desk that's occupying the same space, right?
Okay.
So I've been looking at options for desks, and then that led me to wondering about all this hype about the standing desks, right? Because sitting is the new cancer, or
it's the new smoking.
yeah, whatever. It sucks. Okay, at least that's what they're saying. And that led me to seeing in the science section recently in the news, I found this really interesting. Scientists are basically, through an experiment, they're speculating that we, as humans, have an internal scale as well. So meaning specifically the effect that gravity has on the body, right?
Okay.
So when we're resting, we're changing the effect and pull of gravity. It's not on everything. We're offsetting it. It's not as strong, which is kind of what's leading us to get plumper and unhealthier. The way they did this, so I'm going to say, do you buy into this? Naturally, they used mice because that's what they do.
Sure, because we don't feel bad about using mice for things.
No, you feed them to snakes. Why? Well,
Yeah.
Hey, it's a what do you care? It's a mouse,
Right.
Trent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Never mind that I can't make a mouse and it's one of God's creatures, but okay, whatever.
It's fine. Whatevs.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. What they did is they took capsules, and I'm going to get some of the details wrong, so just work with me here.
Okay.
But they had two test groups. One test group only had the capsule, so it practically represents no difference in the animal's weight. In the second one, they put roughly 10% of the animal's weight into the pellet. So that way all that's happening is the mice are going about their same business. I mean, aside from now having some kind of pill inside of their skin. Boy, I bet that's comfortable. But I'm sure they're still doing the same mice things. They're running around sleeping. They're on the wheel. They're doing all kinds of stuff, wishing they weren't where they are, whatever. I don't know what a mouse does. But the idea here is that they continued to weigh both test groups, and what they found is that the mice that changed no activity but had the pills in them that had a higher weight, their bodies naturally compensated and offset for that in regular activity. So it eventually balanced itself out and lost the extra 10% weight because the mice have naturally the same amount of gravity on them at all times because they're on all fours. They're very balanced.
Right.
So the idea is if we were standing more, in theory, it could actually help you lose weight as well because it gives
it makes sense.
It gives your body the ability to spend more time naturally getting pulled down. Which I'm starting to buy into this. I know I'm older and I'm supposed to have a smaller or a slower metabolism. But I mean, seriously, I should not be able to fluctuate within 10 pounds of weight in a week. You know what I mean?
But weirdly, I can very easily.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's when you're at the higher levels, you can get that kind of maximum. Well, because I mean,
you're at the end of the accordion, so the stretch is a lot less than when you're in the center.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you watch back when The Biggest Loser was on, they always had those amazing drops in the first week because they're losing like 80% water. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the body's freaking out because it's not. Anyway, I found that interesting, and it almost makes me consider, if I'm going to get a new desk in here, maybe getting one of those standing ones. But then I'd have to reevaluate my chair because this thing's already a bitch to move out of the way. What? No.
So the new location that I'm working at, we have everyone has it's a mechanical desk that has different settings down here on the right hand side with an up and a down button, so it can be sitting or standing, and you can adjust it so it just raises to for when you want to stand, and you stand and you can work whatever, and then when you want to go back down, you hit your setting for your sitting position 2, and then sit back down, and it lowers down for you.
Do you know what would eventually happen with me? Because I already know this. I mean, I
finally... You're just going to leave it sitting the whole time?
No. Even worse.
Oh.
Even worse. I'm going to have it at the standing set. So this is where it's healthy and this is where it's good. Next thing you know, I'm bringing in a drafting table chair or a bar stool.
So you feel like, well, I'm still leaving it up.
Yeah, I'm up still. I mean, it's in the healthy setting. This is just for when I'm tired of standing. Which apparently is 8.5 hours every day. I don't know. Well, so do you utilize that functionality at work?
I haven't yet.
Understood. Well, hey, it's a new role, man. It's okay. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. You know what, mate? Here's what I'll do. This coming week, I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna stand. First, I got to make sure that my cables don't get ripped out of the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one good thing.
But I'll give it a whirl and I'll report back.
Speaking of reporting back, one thing I would love to listen to would be feedback from other people about what they do for, like, if you got a lot of cables. I have more than most because I'm trying to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different sound sources going out to 3 different destinations and all the hibbity-jibbity that's going along with every one of those things. But I'm wondering what people do even if you do have more cables than normal. What do you do for your cable management? Because so far the best thing I've seen would be to take actual wire shelving, the flat kind.
Yeah.
And then all you have to do is use what are those zip ties?
Zip ties. Yep.
And cup hook screws. So that way you can easily loop them, take the loops off and add something else or new, but then you just trap them up under that. And it seems like the lowest costing option that would do exactly what I need, which is give me wider space to just hang all this crap. What do you do? Do you just have wires going everywhere like I do?
I use 2 things. Zip ties, because they're cheap and you can get them, a pack of like 500 for $6. And then I'm just whenever I change, I cut them and put a new one on. Or I love the Velcro cable wraps.
Oh,
they're just
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not going to do it, but I could reach over the monitor right now. They're around one of the posts on one of these monitor lifts.
Yeah, and you can get those, and again, those are fairly affordable, and you can get them in quite a long length. And so you can just run everything through there, wrap it up, and it's just like having one cable everywhere.
Yeah, I need to do something because recently, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I purged like 3 black garbage bags full of garbage out of the office here.
Oh, doesn't it feel good?
It does, but then you're like, how did I get here? But then you realize, there's a lot of boxes from Christmas and stuff from Christmas. Because naturally, when you're trying to get things in the house but away from eyes, you're just going to quickly shove it in the first place that's possible, which for me,
so true.
That's my office. So,
that's so true.
White guy problems. Listen to this guy bitching about his extra bedroom that he's using.
About having extra space and stuff.
Yeah, what a prick. But anyway, even at its cleanest, though, after I did all that, I still got to look at all the wiring that's involved here. Because naturally, even when you try and run it clean, it starts getting messy.
Yep. No, it's true. And then any change means you have to do it all over again.
Yeah, and I'm almost at that point because it was like I put everything together, and that was probably in a rush to add in the old big mixer here and all that jazz, and I just need to come up with a better way to store these suckers because
Yeah.
I need it to be manageable, but I also need to make sure I'm not terrified if my toddler comes in the room and decides to dive under the desk. I don't want her suddenly to be suspended in a spider web of terrifying cables. And it's also never an easy discussion trying to convince my wife that the majority of these are audio cables and not a fire hazard.
Yep. Yes. Well, and that's a whole other thing too that I run into a problem of. And had I the space and the money, what I would do is to have a mechanic's toolbox that I with the shelves that I could then put all my different cables in. Because I've just got so many different, because you never know what you're going to need or what you want, or so you've got a bazillion different Ys and 10 different configurations of 3.5 millimeter to RCA and RCA to 1/4 inch. Like,
dude,
I've got a million of these things everywhere.
Just start with a large tackle box, man.
Yeah, maybe a tackle box would be the way to go. Yeah,
just get you can pick them up Home Depot, $5.99, $10.99 on sale, and then just maybe start out with that. I should take my own advice because, okay, this is what we'll close on because I mentioned about it on Twitter and actually, believe it or not, there were like 2 questions. I was shocked.
Yeah.
A very long story short, way back, late 90s, I did this live show. Oh, look. Here we are, years later.
Yeah.
20 years later, he's doing the same.
Back again.
But I was doing a live show from my home, like 90 minutes a night, Monday through Friday, and somehow got paid to do it. Best of all, there was this device called the Trinity, which was a full broadcast D1 grade switcher inside of a big box that would be able to do all the graphics processing power and everything needed to run this thing. And then it would just interact with a communications board in your computer. So it was like it's the world's largest and loudest dongle because it's got like 6 broadside fans. And I mean, it's vicious. But, I just on a lark, I'm looking at things because I got a piece of equipment I need to test. And it's for broadcasting to Facebook Live. And I'm like, well, what's the most effective way to get a signal into this? Which actually, it turns out with the right adapter, it's just with a camera. But, if I wanted to play with it to also broadcast us on Facebook, then I need to have a switching video source. I'm able to very conveniently and easily get away with the open broadcast software that we're using now, but it is purely software based, so it doesn't really have a preview out, as it were. The closest I could probably come would be trying to run this to an external monitor and then feed that into as the external monitor to the device and hoping it's framed right or making it framed horrible like this. Long story short, just on a lark, too late, but on a lark, I decided to look up the company that bought that technology, which is Global Streams. And now that company is basically, it went through a big life cycle and now it's kind of on a downturn, and it's been bought by one of the employees. And the previous software upgrade, I think, was like, it was a lot of money. And basically now, if I had a yard sale, I could get the money to upgrade the software only thing. And so I wanted to bring that in. So that meant 2 things. One, do I still have a functioning computer that could power it? It powered up. Other than that, I don't know because I don't have a keyboard and mouse that'll actually work with it.
Right.
Because it's like, what is that? That PS2 connector.
Yep.
I mean, and I'm actually, knowing me, there's probably still one in the garage. Don't tell my wife. So I found that, and it did power up. So, and I got a video signal, so it may work. Which, by the way, I think that might be where all of Radio Askew is.
Okay. Yeah.
But the other thing I had to do was to find some SDI cables that all this stuff connects with. So I went to there is a plastic storage container in the garage that had these, and I distinctly remember some point before one of the moves where I had everything neatly wound up and maybe even some in baggies. And instead I basically pulled out the same jumble of cables that that Rusty does in Christmas Vacation when he holds up the. I mean, it was just like cables.
One cable, yeah.
Just like, oh my God, how did this get to this? But I get it though, because I like even now, in order to do this and record the program, I had to push away all the other cables that I have found around the room while I was throwing away the garbage. I'm a pig, Trent. I guess that's. There's no, I mean, look.
Aren't we all?
No, your shelves look organized. You got all those figures on back there now. I mean, it looks like you got your stuff together. And me, I'm like, literally, I had to get rid of garbage because I had a path. And I'm like, this is how hoarding starts.
Yeah, this is where it all begins.
Well, that's what you think. But then my wife will point out that we've never had a clean garage. So really, that's where it starts. Apparently now that I've got a place that I sit in more frequently, I'm starting to bring it in here. So
yeah, it's just been moved.
I think it's finally time to get beyond chapter 1 of the art of tidying.
Ooh, yeah, get through it. It helps. It helps.
Maybe it'll finally get me. I mean, like, seriously, and tell me this doesn't sound like hoarding behavior. The Nexus 6P Android phone that I don't use anymore, I've now effectively sat on it so long intending to put it on eBay that I have more than lost half the value I would have gotten if I had taken action. All right, and literally too, I could even do things like, hey, here's a Google Glass. It's hanging up right there. It's an old one.
Yeah,
yeah. It had to have it got what they call foiled, so it's got an alternative method, but it still works.
It's still a thing. Yeah.
Put it on. I mean, it's just like it's getting me nothing here. Nothing. But if I would just like put this shit on eBay. Or even maybe we could get listeners if I offer to give away who wouldn't? What, you can get Google Glass just by listening to NetHeads? Like, first of all, still unclear why, but okay.
What?
You know what I mean?
Sure, it's a thing.
And believe me, I have enough restored units around here. I could probably get away with that one 2 or 3 times. So
yeah, you're fine.
I mean, would you think that would draw people in if they knew that they could effectively get an old piece of my crap from like every show we pick one item, right? It's like, okay, like, and here, you don't believe me? Look here, it's an iPhone 4. There we go. That could be a piece of crap you could get from here. I even have an old credit card imprinting machine if you want one of those. I mean, we could really make this into a thing. It could be the get it cheap from the trash heap or something. I don't know. But man, that could be a thing. Anyway, we've talked. Unless there's anything else you got to say, I think we should pull the ripcord and get out of this sucker. No,
I'm good. I think I'm good.
Let's get out of it like we slipped into political talk. How's that sound?
When in doubt, pull out.
Indeed. So until next time, folks, my name is Will.
I'm Trent.
And we'll be back
soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off. I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it. NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
Man, you got that down. I mean, like, literally, you're matching each one.
Dude, I love the...
Yeah, whatever. Let's not get into the tap debate. Bad enough we brought up that whole guacamole thing. That backfired horribly.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it'll backfire down both legs.
Apparently so. I got to tell you, though, and I'm not kidding, man. Seriously, it may seem like one of the silliest things you've brought up on the show, but you really did make my viewing pleasure of Star Wars movies greater because it's just simply space wizards.
Space wizards, dude.
You know? Because a wizard
space wizards. Because a wizard, it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no difference.
And at that point, you're just like, it's a movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put the anger aside. Let it go,
yeah,
folks.
Let's put the anger aside and think that this is a nod to Guardians of the Galaxy, and this is the Star Wars version of, look at me, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Never even thought of that. Not once.
First thing that came to mind.
Oh.
She's floating through the air. It's just like, look at me, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Ah, well, it's kind of interesting. I don't know though. Partway mid-flight, I felt bad because in the back of my head, I suddenly like,
Yeah. Hey, it's Star Wars.
Exactly.
Space wizards.
Yeah.